Element 3. Interpretation and Implementation of ISO 45001-2018. Section 1. Introduction of ISO 45001. In this section, I shall give you an introduction to ISO 45001-2018. In this section, ISO 45001 explains the background for the standard development by mentioning how occupational safety and health is the organization's responsibility and the capability of an OHS management system to enable the organizations in controlling the workplace OHS risks and improve their OHS performance. The purpose of an OHS management system is to provide organizations with a framework to manage the OHS risk. The intended outcome of the OHS management system are to prevent work-related injury and ill health among workers and to provide safe and healthy workplaces. ISO 45001 also mentions that adoption of this standard, however, will not in itself guarantee prevention of work-related injury and ill health to workers, provision of safe and healthy workplaces, and improved OHS performance. There are a number of factors that will influence the effectiveness of the OHS management system. For example, the most significant factor is the top management's commitment to the prevention of injuries and ill health. This commitment must be evident from the engagement of the top management in routine OHS matters, resources allocation, and OHS culture improvement efforts. The second factor is how effectively OHS risks, management commitment, operational procedures, and controls are communicated within the organization. The third factor is how effectively the employees or their representative are consulted and involved in matters related to OHS. For example, hazard identification, risk control strategies, training needs, and incident investigations, etc. Another significant factor is how much an OHS management system is aligned with the business objectives. It means that OHS management system should not be a burden and liability for the organization. For example, there may be a huge OHS documentation burden that does not add any value for the business. Instead, every aspect of OHS should be embedded within business processes so the organizations don't have to worry separately about the OHS management system as an isolated function. A simple example is training and competence. The organization should incorporate OHS competence within the employee's operational competence when fresh hiring is taking place. By doing so, they will not have to worry about and manage OHS competence at later stages. The management system approach, which has been applied in ISO 45001 standard, is based on the concept of PDCA model. PDCA is an interactive process to achieve continual improvement. In an OHS management system, it works by planning, for example, OHS policy formulation, establishing OHS objectives, identifying and assessing OHS and other risks and opportunities for subsequent implementations. The performance is measured and monitored and viewed to compare against the intended outcomes. In case there are deficiencies, the root causes for those deficiencies are identified and corrective actions are incorporated as part of the planning. Thus, the whole cycle is repeated and every time there is improvement from previous cycle. It also explains that how an organization can demonstrate conformity to ISO 45001 by either making a self-determination or self-declaration by implementing an OHS management system based on this standard. For example, we, X, Y, and Z have successfully implemented an OHS management system based on ISO 45001, or seeking confirmation of its conformity by an external organization, for example, a customer through their supplier audit programs, or seeking confirmation of its self-declaration by a party external to the organization. For example, an external organization issues a statement that your company is complying with the requirements of ISO 45001. Another renowned method of demonstrating conformity to ISO 45001 is seeking certification of its OHS management system by the third party independent certification body, which may be accredited or non-accredited. The standard explains the meaning of different verbal forms used in the standard. For example, shall indicates a requirement, which means the organization must show evidence of conformity. For example, top management shall establish, implement, and maintain an OHS policy. Should indicates a recommendation and is usually best practice. For example, in developing its OHS policy, an organization should consider its consistency and coordination with other policies, for example, environmental, quality policy, etc. May indicates permission. For example, the procedure does not necessarily mean documented procedure but may include undocumented procedures. There can be certain norms that are followed by the organization and there is no written procedure. For example, how to pack and send equipment for calibration may not be available in written documented form, but the relevant employees know it and have been doing it in a certain way. Can indicates a possibility or a capability. For example, OHS management system can improve performance, but there is no such guarantee that mere implementation will improve OHS performance, as the success depends on a number of factors which we have discussed earlier.